level athlete, and there's actually a simple fix for it that'll take you from here.
It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence, but I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show.
To here in about 30 seconds.
Have home court advantage starting Sunday afternoon. What a great season it has been.
So in this video, I'm going to show you what it is and how to fix it. But in order to get there, you need to understand the problem that you might not even know that you have. A lot of athletes think they have something to prove, but what they really have is insecurity. One of the main goals for athletes is to be one of the best out there and to prove themselves as a person. A lot of people who make it very far in their athletic career start to believe that they also have to prove how tough they are as well. Even people who haven't made it in the athletic career try to supplement their lack of athleticism or lack of success with toughness to make them feel well-rounded and make them feel complete. This is especially true for athletes who did not make it out the bottom, because a lot of people will start to write you off as in you got here the easy way, or you're not as tough as you are because you didn't come from struggle. And I think a great example of this is simply Ja Morant. I think that he was just written off as someone who isn't tough, someone who didn't struggle, and he started to compensate for that by acting out of character to make himself feel more fulfilled. When Ja Morant was in high school, he was an underdog who barely even went to college, and then once he got to college, he was obviously a great athlete, but he still went to a small school and was an underdog until right around before he got drafted to the NBA. And then we go even further back from before high school, he was actually known as one of the athletes who were in the middle of the pack. So they had a middle-class family with a decent amount of money, and he even went to a private school, which a lot of people do not have the opportunity to do for their athletic career. I bet this wasn't the first time he has heard these type of remarks of him coming from a middle-class family and not really going through the struggle. I bet he's heard it multiple times actually. And I bet you've been told that you don't deserve something because you weren't tough enough or you had it easy as a kid. And the only reason these type of words are even getting to you deep enough for you to start acting out of character is because you are not secure in the training that you're doing and focusing 110% on your craft. So yes, as goofy as it sounds, I do think Ja Morant's main issue is something as simple as focusing on what's in front of him and the task that he needs to get done, and what some might call it in the science is flow state.
5 hours go by in like 5 minutes. Occasionally it'll slow down, you get a freeze frame effect. I mean, anybody who's been in a car crash, for example, intuition tends to get turned up a lot. This is a basketball player in the zone, seeing the hoop, and suddenly it's as big as a hula hoop.
And trust me, if NBA players can struggle with their flow state, then I probably bet you will be struggling with your flow state as well. I think most athletes can actually train to get stronger in this aspect of their mental game. One who can hit their flow state and only focus on one thing at a time is much scarier than someone who can't stop talking and can't stop doing 1,000 things on and off the court and can't truly focus on their craft. I think the only reason why Ja Morant's even stuck in these type of shenanigans off the court is obviously things like insecurity inside, but a lot of it really just comes down to focusing on the game in front of him and trusting the work that he puts into his craft. So instead, he backs up the insecurity with words and false claims, being someone he truly is not. So earlier in this video, I said that you can train this ability to enter your flow state. That way you can avoid and get rid of all insecurities when it comes to your sport. So here's the first drill. All you're going to do is turn off a TV, turn off your phone, turn off all social media, turn off lights, turn off all entertainment. You're gonna go into one dark room and stare at a wall. It can have light as well, but I don't want you to look at anything besides the wall. And during this drill, you cannot go to sleep, you cannot write down homework, you cannot do absolutely anything besides have your hands on your legs and stare at a wall. I want you to do this for about 5 to 15 minutes. Start off at 5 minutes, but then further on, try to bring it up to 15 minutes. And I want you to be as humanly bored as possible. This is one of the biggest challenges that we struggle with, is straight up distraction and non-stop dopamine levels. So if we can get our brain into the parasympathetic nervous system and enter our flow state by focusing on one thing at a time with no distractions, we'll be able to transfer that to the court, to the field, to whatever sport you have where you need to focus on one thing because you trained it in the dark alone. Now there's extra progressions after this challenge. I want you to challenge your mind to do something you hate after the 5 to 15 minutes of staring at a wall. You can supplement this with just going straight to basketball and playing basketball right after that, but while you play basketball, you cannot touch your phone. This will reframe your brain and help you develop a better flow state, but it also will trigger happiness and a dopamine spike with the things that matter. So things that you don't like to do, let's say studying, if you trigger that dopamine spike with studying after you hit a 5 to 15 minute of boredom, then your brain will reframe itself to think that studying or basketball is the only thing that matters, and that's the only way you're going to get your dopamine versus the phone or versus distractions that most people are struggling with. So obviously you want the most dopamine to go to your sport. So instead of doing something hard, like we said before, you can have that dopamine spike to basketball. So now you're obsessed with basketball, you're obsessed with studying, you're obsessed with focusing on only basketball and zero distractions while you do that sport. Next time you go play your sport, for this example, we'll use basketball. When you take rest periods, I want you to focus on never using your phone. Once you go sit down and you breathe for a little bit, drink some water between your sets, I want you just to stare at a wall and find one thing to stare at and focus on that one thing. So you want to do these type of drills, especially if it's on a smaller object, for 1 to 2 minutes, and try to stop your eyes from wandering off as much as possible. And now there's one more drill after this. After you finish your sport, let's say basketball or your lifting session, for example, I want you to go find a room and go lay down and close your eyes for 5 minutes. I don't want you to fall asleep. This is more of a meditation style type of thing where you're just going to find peace with no phone, no music, and just breathe in for 7 seconds into your nose and then breathe out for 10 seconds out of your nose. This is just a meditation style that helps you hit your parasympathetic nervous system and help you develop your flow state because you're focusing on no distractions at all. So I know all these drills sound ridiculous, but I want you to try them for yourselves. Try to do it for 1 week straight every single day, and you'll notice that in your sports, in your games, let's say you have a basketball game next week, you're going to have so much more focus in the game. You won't let distractions get the best of you, and then once the distractions are away, you stop being someone you're not. You're able to really deep into the craft and love the things that you're doing right in front of you. You don't let external noises bother you, and you don't try to cause an external noise because your whole focus is inside of the game. Now that your focus is starting to get developed and you know what to do to really train your focus, we need to shift your mindset so we can have better results in total. The biggest mindset shift I want you to have is to prove yourself wrong, not others wrong. You need to remember that the voices you hear inside of your head and from other people are only getting to you and bothering you because you believe that it's true yourself. So instead of forcing situations to prove others wrong, I want you to put in the work. That way you can actually prove yourself wrong, since you're the one believing in the nonsense being said about you in the first place. Others will see the progress that you made and will respect you for this much more than the facade that you're trying to put on or the persona that you have in your head of yourself. And just a quick note, I understand the whole aspect about Ja. I use him as an example in this video. I understand that like social media tries to kind of frame black people to be these terrible people, but I don't think in this case that really counts. I think he did mess up, but I think there's always room for growth. I hope everything goes well for him. I do not wish the best on him. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professionally signed type of person. I've just trained a lot of athletes and I see consistencies with these type of issues that they struggle with. So I just kind of want to put in my 2 cents on how you can improve your mental game. That way you can hit better, flow states and just get out of trouble in general. None of us wants each other to be trouble. I don't want black people to get locked up. I don't want black people to lose the opportunities that they get in the NBA. This one dream that most people have, like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, whatever it is. I want everyone to reach their goals, and I don't want social media to frame us into these terrible humans. No one's terrible. We make mistakes. We're young. I'm 20 and I know he's in his low 20s. We all make mistakes all the time, but we're gonna grind out of it. We're gonna focus on ourselves and we're gonna put in this work so people can't use us as examples any longer. So now that you got your mind right and you're ready to go work out, go check out this video right here to learn how to become a better athlete. And also click on this link right here so you can join my athletic newsletter where I give out free workouts and tips every single week.